What's up, everybody? BigSweetC here with you. Glad to be back. We are now getting back into the Another Gamer Dad podcast. Welcome to episode number 12. Apologize about the little break that we had. It's been about a month since we, put another one of these out there, but it was a good vacation, and I'm looking ready to go. So we've got a bunch of stuff to talk about. Got a trophy I want to show you guys. I want to talk about the Elden Ring stuff coming up, and a little switch in the Matrix for our live streams coming up in our sports segment. Congratulations to Boston and Florida. We'll get to them in a second, in a minute. And then, let's just say the Acolyte has come out, and it has been about as good as I expected it to be. But we're going to start off today like we always do, talking about my family life, a little bit personal stuff. First and foremost, if you haven't noticed, I've got a green screen now. What do you guys think about that, huh? Talk about getting professional, huh? No idea what I'm going to throw up back there. Hopefully, I didn't realize that this shirt that I'm wearing is as green as it is. So hopefully that doesn't mess it up too much. But we'll see what we throw up back there. Probably just some generic BS for the time being. But I'm not sure. If I can come up with something kind of cool, then maybe we'll do something kind of cool. Maybe we'll throw up some Final Fantasy VII Rebirth footage. I don't know. Maybe we'll throw up some stuff of me dying in a bunch of games that we played. Or maybe it'll just be generic footage. Who knows? But it's there, mostly because we're kind of trying to switch stuff around here now that the vacation's over. We've got a couple of games coming up that I'm hoping my wife will get a chance to play with us. So, yeah, we just got back from Michigan. It was a fantastic trip. We spent 22 days, something there. We were there from the 3rd to the 23rd, so we spent 20 days there, almost 3 full weeks. It started off a little rough. My brother's used to living by himself, but situations with his friend he's had a roommate for the last couple months, and then he comes, and then we come out there, and and now a guy who's used to living alone with his cat has an entire house full of people, and well, he wasn't used to it at first, and it was kind of a rough start, but we hashed it out, we worked it out, and he's my brother. I love him to death. He's my best friend, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Like I appreciate the fact that if he gets upset, he lets me know that he's upset, and I appreciate that. I can't hate on anybody who's willing to be upfront and honest with me, but we worked our way through it, so we were able to have a great trip. First, I can't believe how good my son was, how well he survived the plane ride. Going there, he was like a perfect angel. I mean, it was only like maybe a little less than 4-hour flight, maybe a little more. It was somewhere between 3 hours 30 minutes and maybe 350. We were expecting it to be about 4 hours and 10 minutes or so, but we had a really good pilot apparently. And so he got us there quick. My son took a nap for about an hour and a half of it. So he wasn't awake for most of it. And when he was awake, he was kind of cool, just kind of sitting there watching everybody do their thing. My wife let him look out the window for a little bit. We had Coco Melon and Trash Truck, his two favorite shows, downloaded on our phones and our tablets, so he could watch that if he got bored. And he didn't cry at all. On the way back, unfortunately, my brother, again, does have a cat. I have cat allergies. His temporary roommate, who was supposed to leave the week after we got there, didn't actually leave until the day before we left. But he also has 2 cats, so there was a lot of cat hair in the area, a lot of allergies up in the sky, and I think it kind of clogged out my son's sinuses a little bit because he had a little bit of a runny nose, a little bit of a sinus infection on the way back, and so he wasn't bad by no means, but he was a little more cranky until I was able to get him to sleep, and he slept. Basically, it was I think 4 hours and 10 minutes. The real issue was there was some sort of paper trail delay with the Spirit Airlines and the traffic control officers. So we sat on the tarmac for 2 hours before we even left. Once we did get in the air, he was basically fine. But I I mean, if you ask an almost 2-year-old to sit in one place for for any length of time, he's gonna start getting a little angsty. So, but I had no problem with him with the travel, which was probably the biggest thing that I was stressed out about. I knew he would be okay once we got to Michigan, meeting all the family. We didn't really meet a whole lot of family. He'd already met my brother who came out here last year for California Extreme. Um, but he did meet my aunt, his great aunt Karen, who's basically the only non-immediate family member that I still stay in touch with. She's fantastic. We met up at Cracker Barrel, one of our favorite places to eat, for the first time, so they could kind of get to notice each other. But then we were able to, because of that, we were able to take her and Christopher to the Toledo Zoo. So we chose to go to the Toledo Zoo because it's a bit more compact than the Detroit Zoo. Fairly, from what I understand, fairly similar animal selection. But we were worried about the amount of walking, and so we went to the smaller size, albeit same amount of animals, Toledo Zoo, which was a great time. Christopher got to see a lot of fish. I threw a couple of pictures up there. He got to see all the fish. He got to see. Trying to think of what else we saw not I almost call them the orangutans. They're not orangutans. They're like smaller monkeys, not the gorillas or the orangutans, but he saw the smaller monkeys in their jungle gym and stuff. And then it was time to eat. So I had oh man, an incredible burger. Like, holy shite. You wouldn't I mean, maybe you do because it was $18, but it was one of the best burgers I've ever had. So if you ever go to the Toledo Zoo, do yourself a favor, stop by the Barbecue Shack, I think is what it was called, and get yourself a burger because it was phenomenal. But after he ate, Christopher, it was hot outside, and it was and he was full. So he basically fell asleep almost immediately after we got done eating. So he missed the second half of our journey. But my wife, my aunt, and I, we were able to go around and see the gorillas and the orangutans. We saw the new baby elephant that was only a few months old, along with the dad and the mom. We saw a couple of hippos. We tried to see a snow leopard, but being the middle of the summer and one of the hottest days of the summer so far, obviously he wasn't out. And the rhino was missing as well, which was kind of a bummer. Like, you would think, rhinos are, typically from the Africa area. So you would have thought that they would have been okay with the heat, but whatever he was doing, maybe they were working on him or something. But we missed him. But like I said, we did see some hippos. We saw the elephants. We walked around. We decided not to go into the reptile area because I don't really like snakes. My wife doesn't really like snakes. But they also have like the alligators and stuff like that too. But if Christopher was awake, we probably would have went through. But all in all, it was a good time. We got there at about I want to say somewhere between like 10:30 and 11. We left about 4:30. They close at 5. And it was it was a lot of fun. And to be honest with you, for the amount of walking that we did, I didn't really seem to be affected all that much by it. So, knock on wood, knock, knock, knock. I happen to be a little healthier than I than even I maybe thought. But it was fantastic. And again, Christopher was absolutely wonderful. We were able to take him out of his. We're carrying around him in the stroller because he was obviously going to get tired. After so often, him walking, he was gonna need to sit down and be pushed around and stuff. And it was way too hot and way too far for me to carry him for the rest of the time. So, but we were able to take him out of his, his stroller and let him walk around. The great thing about it is he didn't try to run off all that much. He was kind of generally interested in the aquarium more than anything. But he was up there. He was touching the glass and watching the fish go by. Baby Shark is probably one of his favorite songs. So, once the sharks started swimming by, he was like super excited about that stuff. So it was a good time at the Toledo Zoo. They kept trying to get us to get the season pass, obviously. He's like, oh, well, you pay for this visit and you get all the rest of your visits for the rest of the year for free. And it's like, dude, I I live in Vegas. I don't live here in Toledo. Maybe if I live closer by, that would be a good deal, but we don't. So no, just today. But it was a lot of fun going to the Toledo Zoo. I hadn't been to a zoo in shoot, I don't even know how long. My wife and I kept talking about going to the LA Zoo when we lived in LA, and we just never did for whatever reason. Although I hear it's not that great. So, but we had a blast at Toledo Zoo. For the rest of the rest of the trip, we were able to take Christopher to a bunch of my favorite restaurants, mostly Coney Islands. They're huge in Michigan. So it was his first Coney Island experience. I did a short about that. Again, like growing up in Saline, there's not a whole, well, there's a lot more now, but when I was growing up in Saline, it was still a very small suburban neighborhood, so there wasn't a whole lot to do there. But Mark's Midtown Coney Island's been there since day one, and that's always been the spot that we've gone to. So we took him. His first Coney Island was obviously the Mark's Midtown Coney Island, and it was great. He was very well behaved. He seemed to enjoy the food, although he seems to always enjoy the food. His chubby cheeks are adorable. um, but my wife and I had been there before, so we got our usual. I got my sausage and cheese omelet. She got her. Unfortunately, they didn't have enough chicken wings to fulfill her order, so she got 3 chicken wings and 3 chicken tenders. Um, but it was really really kind of fun, and a good nostalgia throwback to sit in that place again, because it's been at least 2 years. My wife and I, we lived in Michigan for a little while my parents were going through their. My dad had mesothelioma. My mom had breast cancer, and so we were living up there while they were going through their thing. And then my dad passed, and my mom got put into a nursing home. And so we left before she passed, but we were only back in LA for maybe a week or two when we got the news that my mom had passed. So again, pretty unfortunate that my son will never get to meet my parents, but we were able to grab a bunch of pictures, although I don't know if I should be saying this because I don't think my brother knows. But we were able to grab a bunch of pictures of them, and Ben and I, my brother and I, as children, so we got them up. So at least he'll get an idea of what my parents were like. And I have plenty of stories to tell him. So he might not get to meet them, but they won't be completely out of his life. Speaking more of it, we were also, speaking of first, we were also able to get Christopher out for his first disc golf adventure. Mary Beth Doyle, probably my favorite disc golf course in Michigan. It's a smaller course. They do have some that are fairly wide, but it's a smaller course that's built more on being accurate than it is, because which is good for me because I like the challenge. My ability in disc golf is I can throw the disc a mile and a half. You know what I mean? Like that's my strength, is being able to outdrive people all the time. And so playing Mary Beth Doyle is really fun for me because it's a shorter field. Most holes, I want to say, are probably between 180 and 220 yards, feet. Sorry, feet. We do feet here in America, not in disc golf, not yards. And so it's always a really fun one to play because I actually have a legitimate shot of getting an ace, and I almost hit a couple, which would have been really cool. I've never gotten an ace before, but we went out there, and man, I hadn't played in a long time, so I started off really bad. My brother kind of took a big lead in our first trip out there, but I was able to stay consistent. I'm still a pretty good disc golf player apparently. I was able to stay consistent, and he kind of messed up a few holes late in the round, and so I was able to get the W on our first round out. We did go again the following week, and it was pretty much the exact opposite. He was very consistent, very on top of his game, and I was not. And so, we finished 1-1 in disc golf. As far as video games go, we're huge fans. I don't play it that much outside of the time when I'm actually with Ben, but we love the Mario golf games. And so we threw up his Switch on the big screen TV. We threw on Mario Super Rush, Mario Golf Super Rush, whatever they call it, and I was able to get the W both times that we played. So it was a good time. It was a good time. I enjoy that game a lot. He enjoys that game a lot. And like I said, for whatever reason, we we only ever play when we're together. But he had to work while we were out there, just because his job is very important to him. It's not just his job, like it's his career. He's got outside clients that come to him specifically because they want to work with him, and I completely understand why he doesn't want to ruin their motivation, I guess, for a lack of a better term, by saying, "Hey, I can't make it next week, so let's plan for another day or whatever." Hopefully, he'll get over that a little bit next month. July 27th, 28th in particular is California Extreme. So he has said that he's coming out for at least the weekend. Now, because we're driving from Vegas instead of LA, it's going to be about an 8-hour trip up there. So hopefully he gets in on Thursday instead of his normal Friday. Normally we pick him up Friday morning and then we go from the LAX up to Santa Clara all on Friday. But being an 8-hour drive, I don't know if he's going to want to get off a plane and immediately get into a car for an 8-hour drive. So hopefully he's able to, at the very latest, fly in on Thursday, spend the night here in Vegas, and then we'll go up on Friday. But July 27, 28, Saturday, Sunday will be California Extreme. Family's making the trip again. And then we'll come back on Monday, as opposed to usually we go for a few hours on Sunday, play anything that we may have missed, maybe a couple of things that we want to play again, and then we generally leave around like 4 or 5 in the afternoon, so we can get home Sunday night. But again, because it's such a long drive, we're going to want to stay that extra night, and I come back on Monday instead. So, but hopefully, we were trying to convince him to stay for the week. So hopefully he comes out not just for the weekend, but also gets to stay a few days in Vegas. Because as weird as this going to sound, he's never met my father-in-law, so who he lives with us now, and so it'd be really easy for Ben, my brother, to meet him finally. And it would just be kind of cool to kind of get him away from having to do things. So maybe we can get him on the stream. Maybe we can get him on a podcast. I was hoping to do so when we were out in Michigan. There was no way we were going to be able to do a stream. My brother he lives out in the middle of nowhere. He's got the world's worst internet service. It's actually not the world's worst. It's the world's second worst Wi-Fi connection in the world. And so, doing a live stream was just not going to happen. But now that he's here, maybe we can get him on a podcast. Maybe we can actually get him to do a live stream with us. But we'll see. I'm looking forward to it. It's always a good time. Like I said, my brother is my best friend, and I always enjoy being around him, even when he's a pain in my ass. More importantly, my wife loves him, and I can tell that he gets along with my son very well. So that's the most important thing for me. But wonderful vacation to Michigan. But I'm not gonna lie, I am glad to be back and get back to the grind of things. All right, first commercial break. I'm hoping to have some pictures up here. I actually was able to make a few new t-shirt designs. We have our old one, the iconic tee, available with a hoodie, men's t-shirt, woman's t-shirt, or on a mug. I actually, if you're listening to this, Win Condition Gaming, aka Gentleman Gamer, I should say that the other way around, Gentleman Gamer, aka Win Condition Gaming. We finally got a hat now. We got a trucker hat with the icon on it. And then I was able to make something for the Another Gamer Dad podcast here. Unfortunately, I don't know why I didn't think of this, but I tried to put on the YouTube and the Spotify logo, letting you know that's where you could find it. And I guess Teespring doesn't like that. So they've hidden the listing. I can't sell anything from it. So I'm gonna have to go in and fix that. Ideally, I'll get that done before this actually releases, so that'll be up there too. But hopefully, I can throw some pictures up there. You guys can get some. I've got one more idea for the BigSweetC channel overall. that I'm working on in the process of it right now. So hopefully that will also be up by the time this drops. But you can now support the channel by buying merchandise, and I hope you guys do so. I actually really like the Another Gamer Dad podcast one. It's a bummer that I got to redo it and take out that little bit. But it's it's a picture of me and my son. We both got the biggest smiles on our faces, and it's a good one. I like it a lot. My wife took the picture. She's the one that did the animation on it and all that stuff. So she did a fantastic job, and I don't want it to go to waste just because I have a stupid YouTube and Spotify logo on there. So we'll get that fixed up. We'll get that back up and going. And then I'll get that final BigSweetC, the title tee out there. That way you guys have a few options to choose from. The hat I might be able to make 2 different types of hats. We'll see. But the hat, we might only have the one option for the iconic tee. The iconic. I call it the sweetness cap, I think. So be sure to check that out. I'll put the URL down below here. I believe it's just Sweetness Collection at creator.spring or something to that effect. It'll be down in the description, as well as here on the video when I actually do drop the video. But it'll definitely be down in the description. So do me that favor and check it out. All right. For our gaming section today, I got a couple of things that I wanna talk about in this one. So we're gonna start with the Ghost Gum Games 2023 Ghost Gum Games. My wife, my friend Ken, and I, and hopefully we'll start. As this picks up, now that we're back, moved permanently into the Vegas area, this will start picking up, and I'll be able to get some more friends involved in it. But we have a little. We have a little championship throughout the year. Who does best in board games, and I was able to win this bad boy. So another trophy for the shelf. You can't really see it that well, just because it's glass. But we've got champion here. We've got Chris Harrison. Obviously, that's me. 2023 Ghost Gum Games champion. Fantastic little design here. Well done by Ken Donovan Jr., who put this together. But the rule is the champion gets the trophy. The last place finisher is the one that has to pay for it. But first ever Ghost Gum Games champion right here. I'm off to a good start in 2024 as the defending champion. But it is not really fair. I've been playing board games for a long time. My wife and Ken have not, so I've got a little bit of an advantage. But they are getting better. Actually, when we were in Michigan, my wife and I played Ticket to Ride, and she beat my backside both times we played. So she's getting a lot better at that. She's really good at Settlers of Catan, so she's getting better. Ken has his games. Dominion, he's really good at. For the most part, Hollywood Blockbuster and Survive, and Pirates Cove, he's usually pretty good at as well. So he's got his as well. I just again, I've been playing for a long time, and I know a bunch of different ways to play a bunch of different games, and so it makes sense that I won that trophy, and it wasn't even particularly close. My wife came in second. I think I beat her by like 50, and then Ken came in third. I think she beat him by 50, and so I would have beat him by 100. But new year, new season, new award. Time to get back to the grind, and I really like playing board games. It's one of my favorite hobbies. I highly encourage everybody to check them out. And I'm not just talking, I'm not talking the Americanized ones. Chutes and Ladders is fun when you're 6, 7 years old. Monopoly is not very fun once you realize how the game is played. But there's a lot of very good board games out there, and I've posted in the past about my top 5 favorite ones. So I believe that was episode 3, it might have been episode 4. So if you're interested, go check it out. But board games are a great way to play together and still be competitive. And so, muchas gracias to Ken Donovan Jr., Katie J in the building. Great, fantastic little trophy you got me, buddy. And I look forward to winning another one. Next up is going to be the current Elden Ring results. So I was able to, I put out a little post last week asking you which character you guys wanted me to play as, and which ending you wanted me to do. You guys answered very, very well. Thank you so much for the feedback. I appreciate it. We'll get into the switch up here in a little bit, but as of right now, you still got time to vote. By the time this comes out, it will be 1 week left, but really you still got about 2 weeks left to vote on this. But if you don't like these current leaders, do yourself a favor, go to the community section and vote for whichever character you want me to play as, whichever ending you want me to do, and that's what we'll do when we get started. In a couple of weeks. Currently, the warrior class strength dex melee build is currently winning the build type at 43% of the vote versus the wretch OP versatile build with 36%. And the Lord of Frenzied Flame ending is dominating with 58% of the vote. Versus the Age of Stars, which has 26. Now, I did have a couple other options in both categories, but they weren't really getting much attention. It seemed to really be down to kind of these two in each category. So, again, right now, Warrior Strength Dex Melee build is winning with 43% of the vote versus the Wretch OP build at 36%. So if you don't want to see the Warrior build, you'd rather see the Wretch, or I think I also put in nobody's voted for the Bandit. And I can't remember what the other option was. I think they got 1 vote. And then the Lord of the Frenzied Flame is dominating right now with 58% of the vote. Age of the Stars is at 26. I think Age of the Duskborn might have 1 vote, and I think I think it's Perfect Order that I put out there. I think it maybe has 2. So if you if you don't want to see the Lord of the Frenzied Flame, if you'd rather see one of the other 3, do yourself a favor, head over to that community tab and make your voice heard. Hit that vote button. I will probably stop the voting selection the week of when we get started. So the Tuesday of, it'll be the next podcast episode. I'll announce the winners, but I'll stop it. Obviously, I'll stop it before that, and because we're playing on Saturday, you'll know the day of what character we're going to play as and what ending we're going to go for. More importantly, I did pick up the DLC. I haven't played it yet, and so we'll get into that. I hear it's very, very hard. So my original intention was to kind of play the game until we got to the area where we could open up the DLC. Now I'm kind of thinking maybe we'll just go through the whole base game first, and then we'll play the DLC afterwards. Just because I hear it's really, really hard. On that note, for all you guys that are review bombing the Shadows of the Erdtree DLC because of the difficulty, what the fuck are you thinking? It's a From Software game. That's what they're known for. So don't be a retard, okay? Don't be these dumbass people that saw Kai Cenat play it and was like, oh, I want to get that game because my favorite streamer is playing it. And then complain because you bought a game that you know nothing about. That's don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. But speaking of the switch up, so I found out when we got back that I'm gonna have to take another week off. Next week we're going to. Well, I'm not gonna take the entire week off, and I'll explain as we go along. But next week we are headed to LA for the week. Technically it'll be Sunday, but that's an off day. Sunday, Monday are my off days. We're headed to LA to fix up the house because my father-in-law has found somebody to rent it now that we're out of it. So we got to go pick up the rest of our stuff. A lot of it we're going to leave there because we're actually providing a furnished home. But we got to go pick up the rest of our stuff. We gotta do a mass cleaning of the place, and we might even, I think, cut the grass one last time. But we also got to talk with the new tenants. We got to hash out the rental agreement that we're going to go by, whether they want us to provide the the landscaping and whatnot, whether they want us to provide internet and stuff. They've already said that they'll take care of like power and gas and stuff like that, and they might not even want internet. But all of that stuff we got to hash out because it's going to determine how much we charge them for rent. Plus, we got to get our stuff. So because of that, this week we were originally going to start our new games. Grounded with Scavenger was supposed to be today. Final Fantasy VI Pixel Remaster was supposed to be tomorrow. That's the final Pixel Remaster that we're doing. And then Elden Ring was supposed to be Saturday. However, because we're going to LA, I am going to bring my PlayStation 5, but I'm only going to bring my PlayStation 5 because I can stream right to YouTube from my PS5, which for whatever reason I still can't do from my Xbox Series X, and I've never been able to do with my Nintendo Switch, and I am not taking all my computer equipment over there to do this. So we're gonna kind of switch it up a little bit. Today we're gonna play some Call of Duty DMZ with Scavenger. Tomorrow, meaning Thursday and Friday, we'll play Fallout 4. Saturday, haven't really decided yet. You'll actually, well, I guess because this is coming out on Saturday, we'll just have to play by ear. It's depending on, we're going to start the Nuka World DLC before we go into the final endings for the Fallout 4 next gen update on PS5. So if we don't finish Nuka World on Thursday and Friday, which I don't think we will, if I remember correctly, it's a pretty good sized DLC. So if maybe we'll do 3 straight days of Nuka World, hopefully finish that up. But if you guys come up with something that we can play, just do like a day's play of, maybe we'll do that as well. My wife's finally got logged back into her Xbox, so maybe if she wants to play some Destiny, we'll play some Destiny too on Saturday, just to kind of see what the new update is, because that's something that I don't really care if we continue or not. Plus she's going to want to play Crucible anyway, so it's not even going to really be any of the story stuff. So we'll see. Saturday's still kind of in the mix, but you guys will know when I know how we decide to play it. But if you got, or if I was thinking maybe we'll give the Stray speed run again. Last trophy I have for Stray is to beat the game in under 2 hours. We were able to do it in 2 hours and 6 minutes last time. Maybe it's time to give that a go again. Or if there's something that we can get done in a stream in a few hours, and you guys want to see me do it, then by all means hit the comments down below, and this will come out with plenty of time to get me to get anything ready that you guys might have under the belt. So we'll see about Saturday, but this week, today, meaning Wednesday, it's Wednesday the 26th for me right now. I know I'm supposed to record these on Tuesday, but we were still getting reacquainted to being back in town. So we'll play Call of Duty with Scavenger today. We'll play Fallout 4 Thursday, Friday, and then we'll see what happens on Saturday. But next week, when we do get into LA, it's going to be all PlayStation 5. So we'll. I was thinking about doing. There'd be a good time to do the Fallout 4 endings. Of the base game, those are the only trophies I still have yet to do. Really, the only trophies I have left are the ending trophies in the base game and the Nuka World stuff. Everything else is we've got 100% on, and so it should be a good time doing a little trophy hunting. But I figure we can do the different endings. So my guess is it'll probably take us a few hours to do each. We've got all of them to do: Institute, Railroad, Minutemen. We already did the Minutemen actually because we did Old Guns. So really, we've got Institute, Underground Railroad, and Brotherhood of Steel to do. So we've got the 3 endings, and then anything that we've got to finish up with Nuka World. So, but if it doesn't take all week to do that, maybe we'll do another miscellaneous day. But it's going to be on PS5. I can promise you that. So again, any recommendations? Maybe we'll play some Skyrim or something. That'd be fun to do too. But any recommendations, hit it up in the chat below, and we'll figure it out. So, but again, it's just because I found out that we're unfortunately not gonna be in town next week, and I won't have all my stuff to do it. So we'll get started with our new stuff starting 2 weeks from today. 2 weeks from today, the 26th. It'll be I believe it's the 30th. Actually, no, 30th will be 4 days from now. So it'll be in July, early July. Wednesdays are going to be Grounded, the completed edition with Scavenger, hopefully my wife as well. Thursday is going to be Final Fantasy VI Pixel Remaster. Really looking forward to replaying that one because, again, that is not my personal favorite from the Super Nintendo era, but a lot of Final Fantasy fans picked that as not just one of their favorite from the original 6, but one of the top 2-3 greatest Final Fantasy games of all time. So looking forward to get back into that one. Friday, hopefully we'll be able to finish up Fallout 4 before then. So Friday we'll get into Fallout 76 if you guys want to jump in with that. And then Saturdays we'll start our Elden Ring journey, which is going to be on Xbox Series X. So if you have not a 360, if you have a 1, you can play with me, or a Series X. But we'll play that on Saturdays, starting again 2 weeks from Saturday. So it should be a good time. I'm looking forward to it. I know I hate to be the bearer of bad news in case any of you guys were like uber excited to get this started. I know I was. This was kind of sprung on me literally the day after we got back from Michigan. So technically the day of, because sitting on that tarmac for 2 hours, we didn't actually get back into Vegas until like 3 a.m. So technically it was the day we got back, but this was kind of sprung on me. So I apologize that I have to make this slight change, but don't worry, 2 weeks of random stuff. And then we'll get into the goods again. And I've got plenty of stuff coming down the pipeline. So, once we finish Final Fantasy VI, we'll probably get into Skyward Sword. They remastered it for the Nintendo Switch. We haven't gotten a chance to play that yet, so we'll probably get into that. And then Nintendo announced that a bunch of stuff is coming out. So. Plenty of stuff. I've got, Octopath Traveler 1 and 2 to play still yet. We've got Triangle Strategy. We've got Tactics Ogre. We got a ton of backlog that we need to get into. So plenty of stuff coming down the pipeline, regardless of the fact that this this kind of couple of weeks is going to set us back for the year. But no big deal. Second commercial break of the day. I'm going to tout myself again. Remember, hopefully that will all be up by the time we get to, by the time this actually releases on Saturday. But we do have our own merch now. So we've got merchandise for Another Gamer Dad podcast. We've got the BigSweetC iconic design, and hopefully I'll have the title tee by the time this drops on Saturday as well. So teespring.com. Although I think it's just spring.com now, but links in the box below, the description box below, if you would like to support the channel by buying some merchandise. All right, we're running a few minutes long, so we'll get right into the sports segment. This is going to be kind of an all over the place because right now is actually probably my least favorite time of the year when it comes to sports, just because there's nothing really going on. NBA is over, NHL is over. Uh, Baseball is not even halfway through, although it is just getting warmed up. It's just getting warm outside, so still plenty of season left to do. And most notably, there's no football going on right now. I know there's OTAs and everything, but until you see some preseason games, not really a whole lot you can say about different players and whatnot for fantasy purposes. But in this one, we are going to start with the NBA Finals. Congratulations to the Boston Celtics and the Boston Celtics fans. It was probably one of the worst, most boring NBA Finals I can remember. Not because Boston won. Again, congratulations to them. But it just, it didn't feel like a final. Like there was never a point, even after Dallas won Game 4. There was never really a point that I ever thought that Dallas was actually going to make a comeback and win this series. Like it was one team dominating another. Luckily, again, at least Dallas won Game 4, so they didn't get swept and make it probably the worst NBA Finals of all time. But it just wasn't entertaining. It was never really a close game. Luka, he's one of the greatest players in the league. He'll probably go down as one of the all-time greats, but he looked like he had to do it all by himself, and by the time they got to the finals, he was worn down. I don't know what happened to Kyrie Irving. He was very, very good in the finals when Cleveland made it against Golden State a few years ago, but he was basically non-existent in this one. It was all Boston from start to finish, outside of that one Game 4, and they had to win or they were going to get swept, and they were going to get swept in Dallas. I mean, it would have been awful for them to have to watch Boston raise the trophy in their home court after just getting pounded by a much, much better team. But it goes back to the problem that I was talking about with the NBA before. There's just not enough talent in the NBA, in my opinion. There's just not enough talent. And, kudos to the GM of Boston. He's done a fantastic job drafting young talent, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. I don't think they drafted Drew Holiday, and they just brought him in. But they've been absolutely fantastic of getting these, really, really good players that play together very well on the same team in this environment of just throwing money at superstar players. So congratulations to Boston. They are now the sole possessor of the most championships in NBA history with 18, I believe. I believe they passed. The Lakers have 17. Technically, if you want to get real about it, I think the Lakers actually only have 12. They had 5 when they were in Minnesota. I think, or maybe it's 4 in Minnesota, and no one counts the last time the Lakers won was with LeBron and AD, and it was during the COVID season where they only played like 10 games. So I know a lot of people put a little asterisk on that one, but anyway, they they're credited with I believe it's 17 championships, and Boston now has 18. So kudos to them. Also, kudos to the Florida Panthers. You guys won the NHL Stanley Cup in what ended up being a pretty exciting series. It looked like it was going to be another blowout a la the NBA. Florida went up 3-0 right away, and it wasn't even particularly close. I think it was like 13 goals to 4 or something like that in the first 3 games in favor of Florida. But Edmonton did something, turn around, and they ended up winning the next 3, almost completing the impossible and becoming, I think, only the 4th or 5th team in NHL history to go down 0-3 and come back and win the series. So kudos to Florida. It's tough, like it. If you're up big 3-0, you're just cruising to victories. And then all of a sudden, you give up one, you give up another, and now you're tied. Now your back's against the wall because you're the ones that are about to blow this 3-0 lead. So kudos to them for being able to wipe it off, whip their hair back and forth. and get the job done. So Florida, a great team. They were kind of I know some Boston fans say that it was Boston. I know some other people say that it was some other people like the Rangers and stuff. But in my opinion, having watched the Red Wings play them a few times this year, I really felt like Florida was kind of the upper echelon of the Eastern Conference, and they were able to get the job done. They were able to pull off the victory and win the cup. Gets me excited actually for Hockeytown because of a couple things actually. One, they were probably the closest to being able to actually beat Florida outside of Edmonton in a 7-game series. So they got a lot of young talent, and if they can keep it around, if they can develop them well, Detroit's got a very, very bright future, which is fantastic again for Hockeytown because we are used to winning, and it's been a long time since we have. So I think 2004. I want to say maybe 2004, maybe 2008 was the last time the Red Wings won. So it's been double-digit years since we've hoisted the cup, and that's not something that we're accustomed to. And I know the city of Detroit is very anxious for another championship. So because Edmonton ended up losing, it does give me a little bit of hope. I had a friend that is really excited about Connor McDavid, who's probably the best player in the league right now. He had a fantastic series. I don't know off the top of my head or not if he was able to get that 48th point, but I know he was pretty close to breaking Wayne Gretzky's most points in a series record from like the early 80s. But because he was because they didn't win, a lot of people speculate that he might be looking to go to a contender. And I know my friends and I are really hoping that Steve Yzerman, the GM of the Detroit Red Wings, throws everything he's got at bringing this dude in. I think some veteran leadership, specifically a Brett Hull type player, who's tough, gritty, and just really good at the sport of hockey, can come in and really, really lift this young, talented team to the next level. I see Patrick Kane can maybe do it as well, but again, Connor McDavid is a younger superstar in the NHL, whereas Patrick Kane, as much as I like Patrick Kane, he's probably going to be in a Hall of Famer. He's on his way out the door. He doesn't have many years left in him, whereas we can sign Connor McDavid to a 7-8 year contract and maybe make a run at not just one but a few titles in Detroit. So that'd be really cool. On the flip side, I have no hope for the Pistons. They won 14 games last year, which was less amount of games than the Boston Celtics won in just the playoffs alone. We have the number 5 draft pick, and outside of Cade Cunningham, our drafts have not been very well, not been very good for the last few years. So I don't really have a whole lot of hope for the Pistons. I know they just brought in a new GM. They got rid of their head coach, but we'll see. We'll see. As for myself personally, fantasy baseball, we're in the thick of things. Fantasy baseball has kind of been a roller coaster for me. Actually, it's been kind of a tumultuous roller coaster for me. We started 3-1, we then went 0-4, now 2-2. So we're sitting at 5-7. We are in 4th place, and we do have the tiebreaker over a few teams because our division record is really, really good. What works in my benefit is the schedule. So I play the 2 teams that are closest to me in ranking right now 2 times each, and then I play the guy who's technically in last place right now 3 times the rest of the season. We're playing him right now, but so we've got a decent lead. I don't want to say too much because every time I say that we're doing well, I ended up falling flat on my face. But I have dropped a couple that I probably should have won. 2 times I went to bed with a victory in my hand, and I woke up on Monday morning realizing that stat changes had put me in the loss column. I've lost 2 games this season by a combined 1 point. So it's been kind of frustrating. If we're 5-7, if we're looking at 7-5, we're in a whole nother position, and it's just a bummer. But we still got a little over half the season. We played 12 games. We're halfway through. We played 12 games. There's 24 on the regular season. My biggest issue with my team is they're streaky. Like I'll go off and I'll have the high score in the week for a couple of weeks in a row, and then I'll just be the worst team in the league. And so we're a streaky team. I didn't draft all particularly well. I had I said this before, I had the number 1 overall draft pick. I picked Ronald Acuna Jr. In hindsight, that was not a good pick. I picked him over Shohei Ohtani because, if you take away Shohei's pitching stats from last year, Ronald Acuna Jr. actually was the best hitter in the league last year. That's why he won the NL MVP. But it was a completely wrong mistake. Being able to just be DH and just focus on hitting has really upped Ohtani's at-bats. And, he's just crushing it. He would have been a much better first overall pick. So kudos to Ingrid, who did take him at 2 overall. Ronald Acuna Jr. is not even playing anymore. He tore his ACL, so he's out for the season. So what really sucks is the fact that, being the first overall draft pick means every other team in the league gets 2 draft picks before you get a second one. So if you don't have, if that first overall draft pick isn't one of the top 3, 4, 5 players in the league, you're basically 2 players down the whole season, and it's tough. My second round draft pick was Zach Wheeler. He's actually been outstanding. I like that pick a lot. But then, we had this whole thing where we were going to do, you weren't going to be able to add and drop pitchers every day. So I kind of focused on pitching, and that was a terrible idea. Luis Castillo was my third pick, and he's been mediocre at best. I was able to pick up Ranger Suarez, another pitcher from the Philadelphia Philadelphia Phillies. Yeah, the Phillies, who's been another outstanding player. But the truth is, like, I should have stuck to the hitters like I did last year. I was just worried about the pitching, not being able to add and drop and stuff like that. Turns out, obviously, we're allowed to add and drop. So I should have stuck to my plan. But, the truth is, in fantasy baseball in a point system, the people that play every day are probably more valuable than pitchers. And so I should have did what I did last year, kind of drafted Zach Wheeler and then just focus on hitting for a bunch of rounds until I got the majority core of my team together, and then filled out the rest of my roster. But it's all right. We do play for a trophy, but it's baseball. Baseball, basketball, hockey, they don't matter. Once we get into football season, your boy will be much more excited because I'll actually have something that I'm passionate about. Fantasy football is the only thing that matters. Funny because it's true. All right, for our last commercial break, Gatorade, do your boy a favor. Gatorade Zero. I love your drink. I'll drink your drink. Hit your boy up with a sponsorship, my man. I'll drink your Gatorade stuff. I'll give you a good reviews. I can't give you bad reviews because I drink it all the time. So I'd be, kind of an asshole if I shat all over your product and then went out and bought it anyway. Hit your boy up with a G0 pack, and let's get this done. All right, for our final segment, the cinema segment, we are talking about the hot garbage, the absolute ass trash, worst show I have maybe ever come across. That's Star Wars: The Acolyte by Disney on Disney Plus. I have only seen one full episode of this show. I have seen a bunch of clips from this show, and I can tell you, I tweeted this out a bunch of weeks ago when the one douchebag Jedi went out and said that Anakin blew up the Death Star. I said this show's gonna suck, and they're gonna blame the fans, and that couldn't have been more spot on. Of how everything is unfolded, because this movie is absolutely garbage, hot garbage. The series starts off with Jedi Trinity sitting in a bar, gets snuck up on by the Acolyte. Sith, maybe not, maybe Sith, maybe not Sith, maybe Sith, maybe not Sith, maybe not Sith, maybe Sith, maybe Sith, blah, 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 blah. Gets a run up on, but this person does not have a lightsaber. This person is a force sensitive user that is throwing knives, and for whatever reason, Jedi Trinity decides to just stop the knife and hold it in place instead of like batting it to the ground or like sending it off somewhere else, maybe pushing it back at this person that threw at her. She's just holding it there, waiting for the Acolyte to throw another one at the bar owner, to which she then lets go of the the knife that's directed at her to stop the other one from killing the bartender, only to have this knife hit her in the chest and she dies. But we know that the Jedi have some sort of strong ass power, because Sabine Wren in Ahsoka was able to take a lightsaber to the stomach and survive. I've also seen later in this series one of the Jedi gets stabbed 3 times with a lightsaber and somehow survives for at least another few minutes. But no, just a simple knife to the chest is enough to take down a Jedi. You've got the power of one, the power of two, the power of many, the power of the worst chant I have ever heard of in my entire life. And then Kimundi, who happens to be an additional 40 years old. He partakes in this TV show, even though it takes place 40 years before he's actually born. So, good for him. Congratulations. He was able to maybe reborn himself 40 years later. I don't know. But that's not even the big thing. He somehow sees all of this happening, realizes that there's somebody hunting down the Jedi. And then when it comes to time for the Phantom Menace, and Qui-Gon Jinn is telling the council that he suspects there's a Sith around, he apparently doesn't remember any of these events that happen. He doesn't bother bringing up, you want to say, hey, he doesn't know that there's Sith, so he says, we haven't seen a Sith for a millennia. But he doesn't bother to bring up, oh, well, there was that one time 40 years ago when there was this random Force user hunting down Jedi. It's absolutely ass writing. It's terrible, terrible, bad storytelling done by a bunch of people that clearly don't give a shit about Star Wars. Maybe they've seen the movies and the other stuff, but they clearly don't understand what Star Wars is. They haven't seen it enough to really understand the history or the lore behind it. They're just people that are just making shit up as they go along, and just happy enough to say, hey, I happen to be a writer on Star Wars. The storytelling has been complete ass. You've got a fire that gets started in a place completely made of stone. I repeat, you have a compound that goes up in fire, even though it is completely made of stone. You have a young girl who grows up to be the Acolyte. She gets locked into a room, and instead of using the controls of the door to open the door, she instead hot wires some vent that opens up, which leads her right to where the person who locked her in had already gone. And instead of saying anything clever, they just scream at each other, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? for a half an hour over and over and over again. Absolutely the worst writing I've ever seen in any show. Period. Hands down. Most of the Jedi fighting that we seem to get is from one perspective. One of the last episodes that I saw a clip from, the fighting is completely taking place out of focus and behind a bunch of trees. So all you see is lightsabers going back and forth. You don't actually see the fight. We have our first ever Jedi Wookiee. He gets killed off screen, so you don't know what happens. And then they go ahead and they blame it on lack of funds, even though they're spending $22.5 million per episode. They couldn't do 2 minutes of a Jedi Wookiee fighting to his death. So they're obviously paying way too much in overhead for this show. Whatever Leslie Headland is getting, she should have to give half of her salary back, because this has been atrocious, which is, not surprising, considering she, instead of trying to find somebody that's actually a good actress, she hires her wife to play one of the most important roles in the show. And it looks like she was only hired because she's married to the producer of this show, because she might be the worst actress I've ever seen in my life. If it wasn't for the lead actress of the show, the woman who plays the Acolyte, who literally has one look the entire show. No matter what's going on, she's just got a mouth breather, dumbass bitch look on her face the whole entire time. She doesn't know how to deliver lines. She's got a very monotone voice, so there's no excitement, there's no intensity, there's literally nothing. And maybe she's actually a really great actress, and the direction's just really bad. In my opinion, I think it's a combination of both, because I've seen her. She put out a music video to rebuttal against all the negative criticism. But this music video, by the way, this girl is half white. She's half white, half black. But she puts out a music video where it looks like she just decided to Google famous black artists, and Spike Lee and Childish Gambino were the first two things that popped up. She said, boom, that's good enough for me. The song is clearly auto-tune, because, again, it's the same volume, the same tempo the entire way through. And it looks like she's having a heart attack, a little seizure through the entire video, even though she's trying to recreate the Rosie Perez dance from Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing. Absolutely awful garbage, from start to finish, top to bottom. And of course, instead of taking the blame, saying, "Hey, we were trying something different, didn't work out very well," what does Disney and the creators do? They blame the fans, just like I said they were going to do. They're blaming the fans for being misogynist. They're blaming the fans for being racist. They're blaming the anti-woke crowd for being bigots. Just like they always say, even though, and this is in response to the fact that the user score, the viewer score on Rotten Tomatoes is, I think, 15%, which, to their credit, has gone up. I have seen it as low as 13%, but it is by far the worst rated Star Wars of all time, even surpassing the holiday special, which has 21% approval on Rotten Tomatoes. And they are literally setting fire to George Lucas's fantastic franchise. Disney is pissing away money as we speak, keeping this bullshit on there, and it's simply because they keep going for. They're not looking for the best; they're looking for diversity. Disney has been caught on camera admitting that they're not going to hire white men. They're probably not going to hire any white people. Unless they're gay, of course, or trans or whatever. They're looking for very diverse people instead of the best at what they do. And so when you look for people that have a certain ideology that they're trying to bring and trying to force into an already conceived idea, you're going to get bad storytelling. I'm, hate to be the bearer of bad news, but if they wanted something that was, not aimed at the male-dominated audience, that Kathleen Kennedy claims is the reason why everybody gets so much hate in Disney. If they didn't want to create something for the male-dominated audience, why didn't they just have a whole new IP? Why didn't they just create something new? Because they can't. They're not good enough storytellers. They have to take something that's already been established and then try and mold their ideology to that, because they're not good storytellers. They're not good people. Leslie Headland was the personal assistant to Harvey Weinstein during the height of his monsterhood. So these are not good people. These are ass clowns that don't deserve anything they're getting. And they're going to turn around and they're going to blame bigotry on it instead, even though what else has come out? Oh, yeah, House of the Dragon season 2 has come out, and that's got, I think, an 83% on Rotten Tomatoes the last I saw. By the way, you have all sorts of superheroes. Everybody loves Sigourney Weaver in the Ghostbusters and in Alien. Everybody loves Sarah Connor in the Terminator movies. So it's not misogyny. It's terrible storytelling. And they're just using bigotry as a reason to not take responsibility for being as bad at their job as they are. And Disney deserves the pissing away of the money. I know apparently Bob Iger, the CEO, is fed up with the money that they've lost, but he brought it on himself. He brought it on himself by putting Kathleen Kennedy in charge and trying to do all these diversity hires. And again, nothing against hiring people of color, hiring people of the alphabet variety if they are good at their jobs. But that's what you have to put first and foremost, is people good at their jobs. And if you have a male-dominated audience, you would probably expect male filmmakers would probably be the better option because they have a similar headspace. But instead, you put these people that don't like men into a position to write stuff for a male-dominated audience, and when it doesn't sell, you then blame the male-dominated audience for being bigots, because you can't possibly have any self-awareness whatsoever, because you're deluded into thinking that you're something that you're not. And so I don't recommend The Acolyte at all. I have no intention of actually watching this show. I watched the one episode because my brother was watching it. He's kept up on it. He doesn't seem to think it's that bad, but I've also pointed a few things out to him, which I think has made him kind of question what he thinks is good. But again, I love my brother, but he does not look deep into TV and stuff like that. You know what I mean? He's just like, it was entertaining for a couple of minutes. I don't have to think too deeply about it. Good enough for me, and that's what they were probably hoping was going to watch this show, because Bill Burr always has that, he's got that great stand-up. Why didn't you watch the WNBA? Why did you fail the WNBA? I didn't fail the WNBA. Women fail the WNBA. When you make something for women and women don't watch it, it's not my fault. It's not bigotry that didn't get me to watch it. It's the fact that you made something for people that don't want what you were selling. Period. End of story. So Disney deserves all this crap that they're getting. Go, get woke, go broke. And The Acolyte is absolute ass. And I feel bad for you if you've liked this show, because it has ruined the lore. It has ruined the idea of Star Wars. And George Lucas, I know he's being very quiet, but I can feel it in the Force that he is not happy with what they've done with his stuff. But that's just what I think. You let me know what you think in the comment section below. Is it bigotry? Is it racism? Is it misogyny that is keeping The Acolyte from being the tippity tip top of what it should be. Um, let me know what you think about what we should do going forward on the stream as well. If you have any ideas of what I should talk about, I know Kevin, Nico, dude. I know you'd asked me to put together like a top 15 movies list of movies that I think everybody should see. I was actually doing a little bit of research on that. I did actually put my top 5 out in the first episode. So if you want to know what my top 5 are, you can definitely check out episode number 1. But we'll get that list together. I didn't really have a whole lot of time to do anything, at least not that a lot less time than I expected, being on vacation in Michigan. And that just comes from being a father of a almost 2-year-old. It's just kind of how it works out as a newborn father. So but regardless of that, I'm ready to hit the ground running. So anything you got, throw it at me. Let's do this. Let's talk. Let's get gaming. Let's have some fun with this, and keep on keeping on. Either way, that's going to do it for this one. BigSweetC, that's me. Wishing YouTube, Spotify, that's you. Wonderful day, night, morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it might be. As long as you're watching, I'm wishing you a wonderful watching time. Sweetness, signing off. Peace.